Hey, what's up, everybody? We are back with the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur Smith on September 2nd. Damn, it's September already. Christmas time is flying, man. If you're joining us for the first time, we're a podcast about history, politics, and race. That's what the HPR stands for. Chris here is a veteran of the Army Reserves, and he currently works for the VA. And he likes all three. I'm a film and TV director, producer, writer, and I like the same. We both like to travel, so we came up with the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur Smith. And I'm kind of excited about today because we have always talked about this, and I've always wanted to cover it on the show.
Yep.
And it's relevant to exactly what's going on in the U.S. right now.
Okay.
And that is, we are going to be talking about how the slave patrol turned into modern day police. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And take a ride with us, and so you could hear about the history of where this all started. You know, one of the things we always pride ourselves in on this show is just researching the proper history. And, you know, we're not pro any race, you know, even though we're both African Americans, we always say we're just pro truth. If the truth offends you, we're sorry, not sorry.
Not sorry.
You know, so that's what it is, man. And today, I think this is an interesting subject because I don't think a lot of people really know or realize where the modern day police actually came from.
Okay.
So I think, so this should be a pretty interesting show. And I think Smith has some topics he's going to dive into as well. I probably won't be able to, if you've been watching our show on YouTube, and that reminds me, don't forget to subscribe on ISCNT Group Digital on YouTube. If you've been watching our show on YouTube, I've been trying to kind of edit on the fly as we do these Zoom shows and stuff, and it switches, you know, single shots and go back to the two shots. Today, because I have to go over my research, it may just stay on the full screen until I'm finished with that. But it should be cool. You know, it's cool to not have the switching back and forth some time as well. You know, so yeah. That's what's going on, man. You know what, Smith, before we even get started, what do you think about the police and the way they handle things and all that kind of stuff before we even jump into it?
Like, how are they handling things going on right now? I mean, obviously,
just in general, even coming up as a young man back east and I mean up north and everywhere else. Just what's your take on policing in general?
I mean, I do remember having the talk where my mother told me to be safe walking out, you know, if a police officer comes up to you, follow what they're saying. And then I also, within our family, we have friends who are in law enforcement, close to a friend who used to be security for Ronald Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I have respect for him. Even thought about trying to join look into that career field at one point.
Right.
I guess in a way, luckily, I didn't get it because I don't think I'm really built for it either. You know what I mean? Or mentally for that type of job position. So I give officers credit for taking it on. Not every situation should be ending in deaths. You know, obviously not all of them do, but how quick they are to fire on things. And I know that there was a video that someone posted where it showed a officer and a guy tussling. Officer gets up, shoots him, right? Several times.
Mm-hmm.
And then around the corner, like the mother and maybe father come crying and whatnot, and like, what did you do? But the video was clipped.
Right.
Before the tussle, you see the officer running and the guy's chasing him. And it looks like he has a knife in his hand. So then they fall. Look like he actually tried to stab or did stab the guy. So that situation obviously is clear cut that he needed to use excessive force in order to to stop it.
Right.
I don't know that, or I've seen too many several videos where a white person is doing something very crazy and dangerous and is never shot at once,
Right.
and not even sometimes tased. So you do feel like there's a double standard. And then when it's talked about, people always want to look at their past, what they did. So if you did anything wrong, you're a criminal, and the crazy thought is you deserve to be shot. I don't think so.
Right.
So what is my thought about the police? I'm want them around, but they don't necessarily need to be handling every situation, or they need to have maybe some assistance where it's some type of social worker or an officer who truly has the degrees and has been actually practicing a way to de-escalate situations. There you go.
Right. But what stood out to me in your response is that you said your mother would tell you before you went out to be polite, be careful with the police, this and that and the other. And I wonder if the white mother would tell her son that as he left the house.
Nope.
Probably not.
Correct.
Probably not.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So that's an interesting.
In fact, I'm going to guess that they would say, if you have trouble, go look for the
police. Exactly.
Like, we would still kind of want to do that too, but at times you don't.
Right. Exactly.
So anyway.
So it's interesting, man. So I mean, let's dig into it a little bit. And by the way, before we even move on, I obviously share a lot of the same sentiments in regards to the police as you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went through watched a lot of videos and read quite a few different historical excerpts and stuff like that, and literature that had a lot of interesting facts I didn't even know. So we'll jump into it for our audience, and you can stop me at any time. And I know I said this the last show that I would put up some images to go with the conversation for our viewers on YouTube, and I forgot because I'm so used to just doing the show for the audience that listens mostly, as opposed to watching us on YouTube. So I'm going to try and remember this time and see if I can find some images to kind of splice in to go with the show today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, man. So the Slave Patrol was, for those of you who don't know, the Slave Patrol was an organized group of armed white men that would enforce discipline on black slaves in the 17 and 1800s. I think what a lot of people don't know is that the idea of police was started by Sir Robert Peel in 1812 and wasn't implemented until 1829. And Robert Peel was a British prime minister and a conservative lawmaker. In fact, a popular British term for cops back in the day is bobbies, and that's taken from Robert's name. And another slang in Ireland was peelers when they spoke of police, and that was taken from Robert Peel's last name. You know what I mean? Which was something that I didn't know. You know what I mean? So one of the things I always say, audience, I love about our show is that I always learn new things. Especially when we do these historical shows. So when the first modern police was established in September 29th, 1829 in London, Peel also created the Modern Conservative Party in the UK and also created, quote unquote, cops. Now, before this, communities would just stand guard over themselves, Now let's move to the USA, So before I even move on to the US, what I think is interesting about this is that in the UK, you know, just the normal community police system was more established before the United States. And obviously at those same times, they didn't have slavery going on the way they did in the US. You know what I'm trying to say? So for them, it was just for the purpose of policing the communities and stuff like that.
Got it.
You know
Because I
what
did
mean?
read something that said that even there was a form of police back in ancient China. I can't remember the year.
Right.
But like you're saying, it was all locally done to just do exactly what you would expect, and that's to prevent crime.
Right.
But not necessarily trying to catch people.
Right. Right. So, right, exactly. So if we move into the US, this police model that Robert Peel created didn't carry over into the United States. Instead, it was brought over to be used as slave patrols. And it started when slaves like Nat Turner and John Brown revolted, and when more human beings kept in forced captivity and labor chose to run away for their freedom. You know, the U.S. Park Police and the Mint Police claim to have started in 1791 and 1792, but these were just guards, not policing of the community. Even in Philadelphia, police try and say they started in 1751, but there's no proof of police in Philadelphia in the 1700s. It was something closer to what we have as detectives today. You know what I mean? It wasn't like police the way we know police today. You know what I mean? So when the Robert Peel model was implemented in the UK, it caught on in the US in the form of slave patrols and spread like wildfire. Slave patrols and night watches, which became modern police departments, were designed to control the behavior of minorities. You know, for example, New England settlers appointed Indian constables to police Native Americans. You know, and it was what they mean is Native American constables. And it was called the National Constable Association. And in 1995, I thought this was interesting. And I cross-referenced this with a few sources because I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But it talks about in 1995 how the St. Louis Police was formed to protect residents from Native Americans. I didn't know that the St. Louis Police was formed that late in our history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 1955?
1995.
1995.
Yeah, it was formed to protect residents in St. Louis from Native Americans. So I guess they had taken the Native Americans' land, and it was similar to what was happening back in slavery. These disgruntled people, let's control them and keep them at bay. We've taken their land. You know what I mean? So in 1704, the colony of Carolina developed the nation's first slave patrol. You know what I mean? But it still wasn't like some widely spread thing in all of the plantations and stuff like that. Okay. But there is record in 1704, the colony of Carolina developed the nation's first slave patrol. Slave patrols helped to maintain the economic order and to assist the wealthy landowners in recovering and punishing slaves who were considered property. What we know in the USA today as police can be directly traced to slave patrols. If they didn't need to catch runaway slaves and stop slave revolts, police probably would just be detectives today, similar to what they just had in Philly. You know what I mean? People to just kind of watch crime, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
wouldn't be the form in which the police was created today if it wasn't for the slave patrols. Now, the question is, and I kind of want to end on this note for us to have a conversation about it. And I wanted to end it with a question. The question is, does this mean that the police today are here to enforce systemic and systematic racism? You know, because the police were never meant to protect and serve our people. When it comes to white people, completely different, but they were never designed or meant to protect and serve us at all. They were meant to control us and cut us down and keep us in check, which is what we see today every other month in the media, you know?
Correct.
And so it wasn't a long excerpt because we're only talking about that aspect of how policing came from slavery. So, I mean, what much can you say about it? You know what I'm saying? the historical aspect of it, but I did kind of want to dig into what's going on today and the recent thing with Jacob Blake and just everything that's been happening. And if you think about the historical nature of it, it's crazy how that's what it was back then, and that's really what it is today. Even when they went to see, when they were called for Jacob Blake, and instead of them coming with the attitude of, hey, let's protect these two girls that are arguing and see what's going on and simmer the situation, they probably came with the aspect of, these people are out of line. One of them is tripping. Let's cut them down. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a completely different,
that he was a threat even before.
Right.
It's very probable that they approached the situation expecting threats instead of
coming to protect and serve.
So, and find out exactly what was going on, defuse it, de-escalate it, and try to get everything worked out.
Right.
Because it was a domestic disturbance is what I thought the call was for.
Right.
And if that's true, I mean, again, you're coming there to de-escalate. So obviously what happened to cause him to want to go to his car,
Right. Exactly. Because here's the thing. If the police come with a more positive approach, even if we're on edge because we're so used to getting cut down, and let's just say for some reason Jacob Blake said something slick out of his mouth.
Yeah.
You're the police. You're the one with the badge and the gun. You're the one with the power to kill. So why don't you try to, even if some language started first, why don't you try to de-escalate and say, hey, man, no need to go there. I'm just here to help the situation.
Yeah.
And if he keeps going,
I just need to find out what's going on.
Hey, brother, I need to find out what's going on. We're not trying to, we don't want any problem. You know what I'm saying? If they come from that approach.
Yeah. But there's no cameras to show anything, unfortunately.
Right. They come from that approach, it'll be a lot better. Stuff probably wouldn't escalate the way it does. But the minute one of us says something, good or bad, the first thing is, let's escalate it and cut this black person down. You know what I mean? When it's the white counterpart, they do come with that approach. Even if it's an aggravated situation, like how after the 17-year-old was walking the street with his gun with his hands up, the approach was what I'm talking about now. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and make sure he's okay. Not, hey, what's going on with him? Let's agitate him and cut him down. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because from when it started, it was about keeping us in check and cutting us down and maintaining control of us.
Correct.
And I gotta say, nothing has changed. And and just real quick, and you can chime in, Smith. I do remember one time, Dio and I, we were in my car. We were coming from Hollywood, and the police stopped us. And Dio was coming off slick at the mouth. I mean, for no reason. Oh. And I was like, Dio, chill, man. And that cop, it was a couple of white cops. Yeah. And they handled it the way I'm talking about. They was like, listen, man, we're not trying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Dio kept coming off slick.
Okay.
Like if it was another cop, he would have gotten snatched out of the car and probably shot. You know what I mean? But these two cops did de-escalate it when Dio started and kept everything cool. And was like, hey, man, listen, what I mean? You're not driving. We'll talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the situation ended up simmering. Mm-hmm. And the reason why Dio reacted like that was because back where he grew up in Gary, Indiana, the police were always on his neck. You know what I mean? So that's what he was used to. So that's how he responded before they even said anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I grew up in Harvey, which is not that far from Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Have I been lucky too, where I feel like I wasn't treated wrong a few times,
Well, you were treated wrong, you mean?
Where I was not.
You was not. Okay, I got you, yeah.
The whole approach, everything was fairly pleasant. But at the same time, I remember, let's answer the question. I've been in the car with my cousin where he made a turn the officer said was illegal. I thought he wasn't because, a bus had stopped, but the bus had stopped like in front of us. We turned before the bus. Do you know what I mean? And so I know you can't go around a bus, but there's no reason why you can't turn the opposite direction and the bus is in front of you. It wasn't like it was stopped at that intersection or whatever. So anyway, the guy come up and he actually said to my cousin, like, do I know you? And my cousin's like, hell no, you don't know me. I mean, but that's not like de-escalate. And it was not, you know, he asked for the ID, or he said, do you know why I pulled you over? And we all thought it was, you know, we said we thought it was legal. He said no, and then he made a statement. And so, just like you said, there are times police officers say stuff to black men and black teens to try and get them riled up.
Right.
You know? That's like, why would you know me? We, you know, that's almost like you get in trouble a lot. Do you know what I'm saying? Because who knows, unless you're neighbors.
Right.
I don't know, you know, police, or unless there's some reason why I'm interacting with them. I don't know a lot of police officers that aren't friends, or, you know, that's what I mean.
Right.
Just having interactions with police. I don't have that type of lifestyle. So that, and my cousin doesn't either. So it was kind of upsetting for me to hear that the guy said to him. I almost wanted to pop off and start saying something. He really didn't say, you know, we just let it slide by saying, no, of course not.
Right.
I think I did say something like that. But then I've also had decent interactions where, you know, the cop pulls you over, asks you what it is. Usually for me, it was speeding. But then, you know, I happen to look over and I see another cop who's in the bushes with his hand, you know, on his gun, ready, you know, and it's like, did y'all, you know, at first I thought the interaction was harmless and just a fair, but, you know, obviously they were nervous about something. And there's no, you know, there's nothing, no records or anything on me at that time, you know. So, and still not at this time or anything like that.
Right.
You know? And then I've had really good interactions back when I was in Madison, where I was heading to work and I was speeding again. And the officer pulled me over, and it was raining too. So I thought, you know, automatically I'm getting a ticket. He has to get out in the rain, speed, da da da. But, you know, and I was like, I'm sorry, I was trying to get to work. You know, it's right here, da da da. And I said, I probably should call and tell him I'm going to be late. And, you know, he tapped my shoulder and was like, not so fast. And then walked away, came back, told me to slow down, gave me my license, and I drove away. So you never know, but there are times there's something could happen, and is it the citizens and the police both have to be trying to not engage.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
as the officer,
I totally agree.
You should be trying to definitely de-escalate or prevent a situation from escalating. So you've got to come with your, you know, just some other way to make it work best. I think
I completely
resulting
agree.
to the gun is the best answer. So
I completely agree. And I, you know, out of all the times I've been stopped, I could say there's only been maybe twice where there was a negative situation like that, where the police tried to set us up and throw guns in my car. Another time we stopped in South Central, I was with one of my celebrity friends. He's an actor. And they pulled us out of the car. And they knew who he was, too. And they still searched us, strip searches. I mean, we were in, like, gang territory, but it was obvious we weren't a gang, especially they knew who he was. And we said we were in entertainment. You know, he happened to have a friend that lived in the area. That's why we were even over there.
Sure.
And he wanted to go and visit her. And, so that was the only other time that I would say. But most times, too, you know, I've never had an issue with police. But, but I've also been consciously known to be respectful and polite and keep my hands on the thing, because I know in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking any chance they get, they'll try and cut me down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm always mindful of that, you know. So, you know, unlike other people I know, I don't start, like they said when we was coming up, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and I know in some cases they have started it and it ended up with something or death. But, you know, more times than not, I tend to find that if you're just cool, things end up cool. And I'm not using that as an excuse. As I said 10 minutes ago, I think if someone does start like what Dio did that day, the police should bring it back down.
Yeah.
you're technically supposed to be the bigger person.
Yep.
And I'm going back to what you said. Yeah, I agree. I think on both sides there needs to be some patience and some consideration and some respect on both sides, so these situations don't go the way they're actually going. You know what I mean? Even when the kid ran away in the Wendy's parking lot in Atlanta,
Yeah.
you know, he shouldn't have been killed, even though he turned around and
Correct.
did the taser. He said, you know what I'm saying? Had they come with that approach that I'm talking about, when he said, if they were really here to protect us, Smith, they would have said, you know what? I know you fell asleep in the drive-thru. Why don't I move your car aside for you and let me give you a ride to your friend's house that you said stays up the street? Easy. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure if it was a white counterpart, that's probably how it would have ended up. You know, that's all they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would have been a great example. Hey, let us give you a ride right up the street. Don't drive. You've been drinking. That's what the police are supposed to be for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to us, that's not what they're supposed to be for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, anyway, man, that's all I have to say about this subject, you know.
Well, there was one thing I did.
I know you have some stuff you want to talk about. And before we leave, we'll start back this day in history, guys, on this day in history. But go ahead, Smith.
I was going to say that I did bring up, I did see some photos of Slave Patrol badges from back in the day. And what's interesting enough is that they look very similar to sheriff badges that were.
Can you send those to me so I can put them on the YouTube screen as you just said what you just said? Yeah,
I will. And then so some things I just want to talk about or continue what we were going to talk about as far as current events from last week. I give props to the NBA players for boycotting when the shooting went down.
Yeah,
I know they did, resume games, but the fact that they all of them agreed to it. So it's whether didn't matter of color. So black players and white players black players both agreed to do that. I do think it's kind of stupid, and the statement that Jerry Kushner said that he thought, I guess, that they make enough money that they could like not play or something. It's almost like that shut up and play type of attitude that comes. So anyway, RNC, the Republican convention. It felt like it was more of the doom and gloom. Trump was.
Hold on, before you move on to that real quick, can I say about the NBA players? I like how they took 3 days off, and how they had President Obama help them come up with plans that they wanted to use their platform to implement before they went back. I thought that was awesome. You know, they got on a call with Obama and they implemented some amazing things, one of which they're going to be turning a lot of the basketball arenas into polling places so we can vote in November, all that kind of stuff. So I want to say that it wasn't in vain. You know, they did,
they used the time off to come up with some plans, which a lot of times people just benefit. Walk away, and then,
it wasn't just in vain. That's all I want to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's really good. But the picture that's been painting from the convention is that things are going to be as bad as they are right now under Biden,
right?
Which is kind of weird.
Which is weird. That's what's happening now.
Yeah, it's happening now. This is with Trump. Right. So when Trump comes back, it's gonna disappear.
Right. right.
So that's the part. And then I remember.
And the sad part about that is there's some people out there that are actually gonna buy into that narrative.
Oh, they believe in it. They really do. They're like, it's going to be so much worse with Biden.
It's unbelievable.
I'm like, really? Like, what's going on right now? It's not bad enough, but somehow, all right.
It wouldn't even be happening if Biden was in office,
or Hillary.
Right.
So
or Hillary was in office. Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki Haley. I don't. If you remember who she was, the United Nations ambassador. She was. So in her speech, she talks about how America is not racist,
Mm-hmm.
But yet her story that she talked about when she was how she's born to parents who are immigrants and how they experience discrimination growing up
Mm-hmm.
while
Mm-hmm.
she was growing up. So it's kind of strange to say America is not racist, but me and my family were able to overcome the discrimination that we received
Right.
as growing up.
Right.
Again, I'm sorry, what?
Right.
Um, and then some of the things they were saying is like Trump is very caring behind doors.
Mm-hmm. Like,
That makes me
really?
laugh. Yeah. And then like Laura Trump, her quote was, "Believe none of what you hear, half of what you read, and only what you're there to witness firsthand," which is a
Wow.
contradiction as they want Americans to judge based on what we see.
Mm-hmm.
However, what we see about Trump is not what we are getting. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So, or, okay, so what we see of him, then they go to, it's just it's boggling to try
Yeah.
to and make sense of some of the stuff they're saying. But anyway, and then like her statement at the very end is to say that you are there to witness it firsthand. So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't witness it firsthand, but let's say you watch a video of it, is
Right.
that firsthand, or are they trying to say that that's a manipulation? You actually have to be in person, because then
Right.
you would never believe anything he ever does, because, or don't believe anything unless you're there. Is
Right.
almost how. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
Just
it's
too much about
true.
that.
It's interesting. It's yeah.
The logic is hard to even. I can't wrap around it, but
Right. Right.
they get it. So, and
Yeah.
then Hurricane Laura, it hit Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
but the other one didn't. So prayers to those who lost their lives.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. For sure. It hit Lake Charles really hard. I know some people lost their lives. Yeah. But yeah, thank God. It could have been a lot worse. You know.
Yeah, like both hurricanes could have hit. So
Yeah. Exactly. One
back
diverted.
in,
They expected a 1-2 punch, but it didn't happen.
yeah,
So that was actually a good thing. You know. And I'm doing
yeah.
a lot of business in Louisiana. I'll be there again soon, actually. So I'm glad it didn't, ravage up there too much. Yep.
All right, that's it for
So
me.
yeah, that's it, man. Thanks for checking in with us, guys, and thanks for
Wait,
checking in. Smith, go ahead.
did you do your?
This day in history.
You about to do that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Most definitely. Thanks for checking in, and like we said, we're gonna start back doing the today and this on this day, which would be September 2nd. So every show, before COVID, we would give like 4 historical facts every show, just for people, just like a little nugget for people to check into. Besides just listening to the podcast, you can learn something new, some new historical fact about the world. So we're going to start it back again today, first week of September, coming back in before the year. This year is going by quick, man. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Great Fire of London, which I didn't know about. In 1666, Great Fire of London begins at 2 a.m. in Pudding Lane. 80% of London is destroyed. That's crazy.
Mm.
I had no idea about that. Then in 1686, Habsburg armies take Buda from the Turks,
Okay.
which I knew nothing about. In 1732, Pope Clement I think that's the 12th, renews anti-Jewish laws of Rome. That's interesting. Anti-Jewish laws
Yeah.
of Rome. And then in 1752, last Julian calendar day in Great Britain and British colonies, including America, to sync the Gregorian calendar. 11 days are skipped, and the next date is September 14th. Interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Mm.
But that's what happened.
So
And
11 days, their dates just changed altogether.
Yeah. 11 days
Wow.
are skipped, and the next date is September 14th.
Mm.
Yep. Including colonies in America.
Interesting.
Interesting. Anyway, guys, yeah, that's our show. Don't forget to subscribe on ISENT Group Digital. That will be on YouTube. Hit that notification button so you know when we're coming out with shows. And yeah, don't forget to follow us on social media. Everything will be in the description. The email is rptalktruth@gmail.com. And once again, Smith, thanks for checking in with us.
Yep, thank you.
And
hey, you know what? Maybe
yeah.
those 11 days was how long it took to have the information travel to everywhere that they need.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Because they didn't have mail and stuff back then.
No.
Exactly.
Wasn't texting nobody.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. You might be right about that.
Anyway.
That's interesting. You might be right. All right, guys. Yeah. So have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. It's the HPR Chronicles Podcast with Shakur Smith, and we're out. Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right.